Hey everybody, how you doing? It's December the 19th, which of course means that it's the 19th day of the Dream Whiskies Advent Calendar promotion. How are you? Hope you're having a great day. We're getting closer and closer, obviously, to Christmas, which means we're actually only, 5 or 6 days away now from Christmas. So I hope you got all your Christmas shopping done and you've got all your menus planned. And we're getting closer and closer to the end of our run as far as this is concerned. So thank you for joining us. Just to tell you, it is 8 p.m. in the UK. So 8 p.m. in the UK. Reason why we're telling you that is that if you're watching this and it's not 8 p.m. in the UK, then you're not watching it live, which might be why I don't respond to your messages. Just so that you know. Who we got with us? Good evening, Richie. Jennifer, how are you doing? Jacob, always good to see you. Alison as well, good evening. Roy, how are you doing? Hope you're all having a good day. Anybody else with us before I move on? Barry, of course, still not here. Always good to see you still not here. All right, first things first. 2 broadcasts ago, so on the 17th, we did that idea where I was asking people to name the cocktail. We had a bit of a technical issue with it, which meant that I let it run for another 24 hours. But we've made a decision on the name of the cocktail. But there's a few that I wanted to pick out. So Jesse Lanou came up with 3 Kings, which we thought was really quite a good one. Deacon McCubbin said K Shiraz, which I thought was quite a good Doris Day play on words. Stephen Shepherd said Amorous Irishman, which again, we like that as well. The idea that it had Amoretti or Amaretto rather, and of course Irish whiskey in there. So that's a good name. We like that. Mark Coyle came up with a bit of a rhyming title for it. He said Christmas Time Whiskey and Wine, which we liked as well. It sounds like a song, I think. But in the end, we went for this one from Matthew Culross, and he came up with a name. He's from Perth in Scotland. He said, why not call it the Irish Shiraz Mataz? And we sort of like the ring of that. So that's what we're going to call the drink. Matthew, I'm going to be in touch with you if you're watching. And we're going to get a little certificate off to you that just says that you were the person that named that cocktail. So well done and congratulations. All right. Before I go on, who else is with us? Paul, how are you doing? Stuart, good evening. Nice to see you. Manda, good to see you with us. Sharon, I'm well. I hope you're well as well. John, at work? Don't tell. We'll keep it quiet. Jeff from the west coast of the US, first time watching. I guess it's the first time we've been late enough, so it hasn't been in the middle of the night for you. Thank you for joining us. Derek, good to see you. Thomas as well, in the middle of a snowy Sweden. Wow. And Kevin, good to see you. David as well, you made it. Lovely to see you all. So we've got a giveaway today. The giveaway is what is it? It's a jar. It's a jar of, I'm just reading it here because I had to make sure I get the name right. It's Mrs. Bridges Malt Whiskey Ginger Preserve, right? Mrs. Bridges Malt Whiskey Ginger Preserve. One of you is going to win this. And if you don't know what it is, it's a ginger preserve. Obviously, it's completely infused with Scotch malt whiskey. And it is absolutely gorgeous, whether you put it on your toast, you stick some in your porridge, you just eat it straight out of the jar. And wonderful, of course, for Christmas. We're trying to give a Christmas theme, obviously, for everything that we're doing, but a really delicious and wonderful price. So one of you is going to win that. And to win it, you're going to have to answer a question, which we'll ask at the end of the broadcast. So stay with us, and you will need to email me the answer. As ever, you have to email me the answer to the question. And my email address is paul@dreamwhiskies.com. paul@dreamwhiskies.com. I will remind you of that later on as well. So what we're going to do, as ever, I've got a nice cocktail recipe for you. Watch the recipe, follow what we do. Question will come later on. Before I start, who have we got here? Joe, from Lisbon. Good to see you. Ernest, how you doing? Jennifer, sounds good. Yeah, sounds delicious. Trust me, you will love it if you win it. If you don't win it, you will still love it if you ever taste it. Francis, not tasted that one. And David, sounds good. Brilliant. All right. I'm going to make you a whiskey sour, but no ordinary whiskey sour. I call this the ginger, pineapple, and basil whiskey sour. Ginger, pineapple, and basil. A range of flavors that combine to give you a completely different take on the whiskey sour. If you've never tried something like this with herbs in it as well, you've got to run with it because it's a fabulous, fabulous drink. So quite a few ingredients go into this. You're going to need to watch carefully. I'll just put my glass to the side and I'm going to take out, as ever, my mixing glass, and I'm going to start with this. I'm going to bring it up to the camera here. And this is a small piece of root ginger. It's about 1 centimetre or so, and it's still got a bit of the skin on it. It doesn't matter about the skin. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop that up into smaller bits down here. You can't see me doing it, but you'll see it in a second. Smaller pieces, and I'm going to drop that in there. Like I say, don't worry about the skin on it, because that's not going to end up in the drink. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, you'll recognize that, that's a lemon. I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to squeeze the juice of half a lemon in with the ginger pieces, so that root ginger that's in there. So squeeze that in. I'm using my trusty old Mexican elbow, my juice squeezer here. You can use your hands if you're strong enough, I guess. Let's just pop that to the side. Now what I want to do is I want to take my pestle, because I need to crush this up. So I'm going to give the ginger a bit of a squeeze in with the lemon juice. Now, by putting juice in with the ginger, it helps the ginger oils infuse into the drink. It becomes easier to crush it and get the flavor out of it. Whereas if you just do it dry, you don't get quite so much out of it. All right, that's good. That's looking good. Let's just pop that down here. Now, the next ingredient that I want to add is this. Is some basil. Now this is dried basil, and you would think, well, why use dried basil? Surely fresh is better. But I can tell you this, that for this drink and the way we want the basil to come through, actually using the dried stuff is what you need. If you use fresh basil, it tends to bruise a bit, and sometimes actually the flavor of fresh basil can over dominate the drink, which is not what we want. We want subtlety with this drink. So I'm taking just a small pinch. That's all. Can you see? And I'm just sprinkling it in there with the lemon juice and the ginger. That's enough. All right, let me just put the cap back on this and move on. Now, obviously, the most important ingredient in this with all our cocktails is, of course, whiskey. And today I'm using some Glenfiddich 12. Of course, there you go, if you've never seen that before. And, well, who's never seen that before? This is a 12-year-old single malt, and it works particularly well with this. Remember, for this drink, you can choose your whiskey. You can use whichever one you want. If you don't want to use a single malt, you want to use a blended, or you want to use an older one, or you want to use something, I don't know, from Highlands or Speyside or Islay, you can go with it. Go with the whiskey that you love. But I'm going with this one, and we want 50 ml of this in. So I'm just going to measure that out. 50 ml up to the top and into our mixture there. Now, before I go any further, see who else is with us. David North says, yum. Bob Brown, how you doing? Robert, how are you? Mike, good evening. And looks like this has helped with my cold. Actually, you know what? Something like this with ginger in will be fantastic for your cold. And I always think a bit of whiskey helps blow it away as well. Right, a couple more ingredients. Some Angostura bitters. Again, just want to show you the bottle if you haven't seen that. Angostura bitters. These are the more common bitters that are used. I've shown you all sorts of bitters with different recipes over the past few weeks. But these ones are the ones that you can get pretty much everywhere, easily get it online. And I'm putting a couple of dashes in. So here we go. There we go. Actually, that's probably ended up being about 3 or 4 dashes in total. Now we got some sweetness. Now, ordinarily with a sour, what we do is we add some sugar in the form of actual fine-grade caster sugar or sugar syrup. But I'm not putting any sugar in because I'm using this ginger liqueur, which itself is sweet enough. So the sweetness for this drink comes from the ginger liqueur. And I'm going to put in around about 15 to 20 ml of that. So let me just get that there, a little bit more. That's good. And just drop that in as well. So we've not only got the fresh root ginger in there, but we've also got this ginger liqueur to help the ginger aroma, the flavor, and of course, that sort of wonderful burn that you would get from it. And when I say burn, I don't mean like a nasty burn where you've got to go to the hospital. I'm talking about the wonderful burn that you get from fresh ginger. Finally, some pineapple. This is pineapple juice, and I'm going to put in around about 40 ml of the pineapple juice. And there we go. So we have now all our ingredients apart from one last thing, and that's going to be some egg white. And when it comes to sours and whiskey sours, egg white tends to be an optional extra. You can either have it with or without. I like it with because it tends to give that wonderful foamy finish to the top. So I've already cracked my egg. I'm just going to drop the egg white into my shaker like so, and we're good. Now, before we shake this up, see who else we've got with us. David says, I like what I'm seeing. May give this one a try. Yeah, well, as ever, if you try it, let us know how you get on. I've received a few emails from different people saying that they've tried stuff and it's worked well, or they have problems with it. So let me know, and we can help you out if it doesn't work, and if it does, we want to know. Anna, nice to see you. Hi. Jason, sorry you're late. No need. You don't need a letter to say that you're late. You're good that you're here, and we're pleased. And Amelia, hi as well to you. Now, time to shake this up. So I'm going to add some ice to the shaker. Here we go. That's good. And we're going to give this a really good shake. And whenever it comes to a drink that has egg white in it, I shake it a little bit harder, a little bit longer, just to make sure that everything is really well shaken up. So tap that on. Remember, if you're not using a shaker, you're using a jar, you probably just want to screw that really tight so that it doesn't leak. We had a bit of a leakage problem about 4 or 5 nights ago when we did one of these broadcasts. So make sure that it's nice and tight and doesn't go everywhere. And shake like you mean it. Here we go. All right, let's get some rhythm. Let's just check, see how well that's mixing. That's mixing really nicely. Now, I'm just going to let that stand for a second. I'm going to take my glass. I want a little bit of ice in this glass. Just a little bit, because I know how much is coming out of the shaker. I'm going to give this one last shake, and then I'm going to double strain it. Here we go. Let's open it up. I'm going to put one strainer over here, and then I'm going to take my fine strainer to double strain it. This means that none of the pieces of ginger that we put into this drink, and for that matter, the dried bits of, let's just get that in there. That's looking perfect. That looks absolutely delicious. And none of the dried bits of basil end up in the drink, because we caught them all in the fine strainer. So what you get is the subtlety of the basil that's been shaken around. All the ginger pieces have been taken out. You get a wonderfully smooth, creamy drink. You can see the egg white also starting to settle at the top of the glass. Let's bring that back there a little bit so you can see a bit better. And because it's a sour, I'm just going to garnish it with a maraschino cherry, which is pretty much typical for a whiskey sour. And there we go. That is our drink. This is a pineapple, ginger, and basil whiskey sour. Who else have we got with us here? Jennifer. Elf looked like he's had a few already. Yeah, I know. That was actually a full bottle before we started, and he seems to have dried that out really well. Drunk Elf yesterday, absolutely. Maybe dead. Yes, possibly as well. Paul saying that he loves ginger, which is great. It's good to hear that you love ginger. So I'm just going to taste this for you, because I've got to give you my honest opinion of what we got here. Let's have a go. And it's actually a gorgeous balance. So the ginger really comes through, but it really doesn't dominate, even though you've got the fresh ginger in there. You get the sweetness from the liqueur. You get the sharpness from the lemon that was in there, but the pineapple again softens it, so it's slightly softer than a typical whiskey sour. Real fabulous creamy head, and a real light hint of that basil coming through. Everything balances beautifully with this drink. Okay, so where are we going with this? In a second, I'm going to ask you a question, the answer of which was something that I've said to you while I'm making this drink, and you've got to send me the answer by email. So just again, if you didn't get it first time, my email is paul@dreamwhiskies.com. That's Paul, P-A-U-L, @dreamwhiskies.com. Question coming up in a second. Before that, I'm going to try and make a proposition to you. So a number of you will know by now that we've set up a Patreon, and we've got people that are backing and supporting us on our Patreon account. In return, they get all sorts of bits and pieces from us. And as we go forward, we're doing some really cool stuff on our Patreon site into 2019. But I just want you to know this, that you have the opportunity to get from us a top-selling cocktail mixology course. It's actually my top-selling cocktail mixology course. It sells on udemy.com for £200. And it is the top-selling cocktail course on there. £200 is what it costs if you want to enroll in that course. If you go onto our Patreon page, you become a $10 patron of ours. That is just $10. That's £7.50. In return, you will get that £200 mixology course. It covers all the major classic cocktails. There's all sorts of wonderful information there, backstories, tips and hints, all that sort of stuff. It's £200, but you can have it if you back us for $10 or £7.50. So you know what? If you want to take advantage of that, click on the link in the description, go there and back us. And the other thing is this, if you become a patron and you decide actually after a month or so you don't want to back us anymore and you decide to pull out because you don't like our content on there, you don't think it's worth the money for you or whatever, you can still keep the course for life. We're not going to ask you for the money back. So back us. We need your support. We need more people doing this. Head over to Patreon, check it out, and become one of our $10 patrons, and you can get that course. Right, now, before I ask you the question for the prize that we're giving away, let's see who else we got here. Mark says, what whiskey do you think goes best in an old-fashioned? Okay, Mark, I've got a bit of a thing about old-fashions. I guess most whiskey drinks have a thing about old-fashions. My favorite whiskey in an old-fashioned has always been Wild Turkey 101. Just love it. It's got that extra strength. I really like the sharpness and the bite of Wild Turkey. The corn really comes through it. I think it's a fabulous bourbon. So for me, Wild Turkey 101, that's the one it would be. Jennifer joined just over a week ago. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, and you're on our Wall of Fame as well. So everyone who backs us, it ends up on our Wall of Fame on our website. So thank you very much for that. What can I say to you? Question coming up. So reminder of the prize. The prize is Mrs. Bridges Ginger Preserve and Malt Whiskey. So a Malt Whiskey Ginger Preserve. If you win this, you will love it. And the question is this. I said that we didn't put sugar in this drink because the sweetness came from another ingredient. So instead of putting sugar in there to make this a sour, where did the sweetness come from? What was the ingredient that gives this drink its sweetness instead of the sugar? Answers, please, to me, paul@dreamwhiskies.com. We're going to run this up until midnight UK time tonight. So midnight UK time, which gives us, what, about 3 3/4 hours. Get your answers in. We're going to draw someone from all the correct answers to come in, and someone will be getting that jar of Mrs. Bridges Malt Whiskey Ginger Preserve. That could be on its way for you. So that's our broadcast today. Tomorrow is our 20th one. That's 20 of 24 that we're doing. We're not going to be broadcasting on Christmas Day. So our last one will be the 24th, on the 24th of December. But tomorrow's is the 20th. Make sure you're with us. We'll let you know who's won. And I guess I need to give you the time. But before I do, let's just say a quick thank you for the advent from Cheryl. Is that Cheryl or Cheryl? But thank you. Really appreciate you appreciating it. And Barry, my wife also loves ginger. Does that mean you're going to be honest with your wife, Barry, and tell her where you have been? Sounds like we're bringing you back together again with your wife. Tomorrow's broadcast is at 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. UK time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern time in the States. Everybody else, if you're not in one of those two places, if you can try and work out what time it is around that. Any last questions before we go? Cheryl loves ginger. Delighted to hear it. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Always appreciate it. Go and check out our Patreon site and make this cocktail and let us know how you do. We love you all for backing us, for following us, for being there. We will see you tomorrow at 7. Have a great evening. Bye.